I, female 20, have an older brother, 34, Tim. Tim has a wife, Vicky, 33. I've noticed Vicky has been acting weird around me for a while now. She avoids interacting with me, avoids eye contact, doesn't make conversation, and generally seems annoyed with my presence. I wasn't really sure what her problem was. It was starting to get to me, so I gently asked him about it. He confirmed Vicky was angry at me over something. He explained that a while ago my mother posted some old photos from his and Vicky's wedding on Facebook. I don't have Facebook, so I didn't know, and that she used a filter or photo editor that made my dress look white when it was actually pastel blue. Later, Tim, Vicky and I were alone, and Tim brought this issue up and said it needed to be talked about. Vicky started to become visibly upset, and she pretty much repeated what Tim told me and said that the edited photos were disrespectful and that I really shouldn't have worn a colour that was so close to white anyway. I reminded Vicky that I was a tween when they got married, and I don't even really remember much from it. She said I must have had some choice in what to wear. I told her I didn't know because I don't remember, and that if it bothered her so much she should take it up with my mom, and I told her that this grudge she was holding against me was stupid. Vicky looked mortified and said that I didn't have to be so callous and that I had no reason to be rude to her and dismiss her concerns. Tim is now also mad because I disrespected his wife. I didn't understand what other response she could be expecting, especially when I had a complicated relationship with my parents. Am I the idiot for telling my sister-in-law that the grudge she's holding against me over wedding photos is stupid? So you wore a blue dress, someone else doctored the photo and made the dress look whiter than actuality, and now you're Cruella de Vil in a white dress at a wedding. Holy heck, your brother and sister-in-law are bonkers. Not the idiot, but they are. It sounds like their hobby is to find ways to be offended. She's mad at you for wearing a blue dress to a wedding as a 9-year-old girl, as if you realistically had a lot of say over your clothes at that age. And because your mother reposted the picture with a filter years later, this is the same level of BS as when people get mad about things that happened in their dreams. You've done nothing wrong and everyone knows it. She's embarrassed at her own ridiculousness and lashing out at you for embarrassing her instead of realizing she embarrassed herself. Tell your brother that until she apologizes for her ludicrous behavior, they can both keep their unstable butts away from you. And it was 11 damn years ago. Even if you wore white, who cares? Many little girls wear communion or white Easter dresses to a wedding. My toddler wore a white dress with many flowers to someone's wedding. She has to get her speech ready for the arguments in 20 years. Heck, I guess I'm mad at OP since my shoelaces don't stay tied. I've no idea how that has anything to do with them, but when in Rome, OP ruined my dinner. I'm only assuming they're even in the same country as me, but they ruined my dinner all the same. Oh right, OP ruined my dinner 8 years ago. Shame on OP. Your mother made you wear that dress. Your mother made that picture. Your mother posted it and did or did not use a filter. Nothing about this was you. And it's pretty sick to act as if people could mistake a 9-year-old for the bride. Vicky is in serious need of therapy. Backstory. I, female, and fiancé male have broken up over this. I'm very insecure about my weight and put on over 10 kilograms during the global issue, work stress and grief. I received an ultimatum in July from my fiancé that if I didn't lose 4 kilograms by my birthday, yesterday, the wedding at the end of this year would be off, and demanded to know what my starting weight was. I was really distressed and sad by this at the time of the request, and I couldn't even engage with him for a week. I even saw a psychologist to help me process it. I eventually cracked and told him my weight, 76 kilograms. We don't live together. I worked really hard and lost 5 kilograms in about 5 weeks. Yesterday was my birthday, the weigh-in day, and he came over to visit. First thing in the morning, I wanted to get this over with, still upset by the whole experience, and I stood on the scale in my PJs with my weight coming in at just over 70 kilograms, which he looked at and verbalized. He weighs himself, and then he asked me to return and re-weigh myself in front of him without any clothes on. I refuse. My reasoning was that I already felt humiliated, and I was mentally only prepared to do this once, which in my mind I did. He thinks I'm an idiot because I refused to do something important to him, and I think he's the idiot for making me go through this experience. I texted a single trusted friend who gave me some reassuring words, essentially that I'm not crazy and this isn't my fault, which I shared with him, not saying who the friend, female, was. He thinks that is not impartial and I'm bad-mouthing him. We broke up over my refusal to reweigh myself in front of him without clothes on. Am I being unreasonable for not doing something important to him? Am I the idiot for refusing to weigh myself in front of my partner? Not only did you lose the weight, but you proved it fully clothed. What the heck does he want from you? Not the idiot. This breakup is the best thing to ever happen to you. Do not go back to that. Self-respect starts at home. His behavior is sick and would have escalated. This would have probably been the beginning of the weekly naked weight weigh-in for the rest of your life. And look at that, you lost just over 70 kilograms of dead weight. He was an albatross. Move on and find someone who will love you for you no matter how much you weigh. He was pathological. Imagine what would have happened if you'd gotten pregnant or old. Weight piles on later in life sometimes. What a small-minded wretch of a human. You're lucky you got away. Congratulate yourself for having limits and standards. What the heck did I just read? Girl, the point to dump his butt was back in July when he gave you the ultimatum. He isn't worth the heartache if he doesn't love you as you are. Lose weight if you want to, by all means, but to do it just because he said he wouldn't marry you if you didn't show enormous controlling behavior, immaturity, and huge idiot vibes. Good riddance to a dumpster fire of a human being. Our conflict was about baby names and how nobody tells my sister directly what they're naming their kids even when they're born. She's had 3 of her closest friends have babies in the last 5 years, and none of them told her directly, via text, direct message, or in person, what the name was. She always finds out via a social media post like the rest of the people in their lives who are not family. I also didn't tell her what my son's name would be directly. She found out via an Instagram post I made. My sister has a problem with being super judgmental. Names are not the only thing she's like that about, but that's when she's the most vocal, I would say. She's always labelled people as bad parents over what they name their kids if she doesn't like it. I remember when she was about 20 and one of our aunts had a baby after 20 years of trying. She was in her mid-40s having her baby, and my sister told her after all those years of waiting, she should have named her baby something better because she was already off to a rough start. The name in question was Meadow. My sister found it awful and trashy. Our uncle promptly shut her down. My sister's friends all know what she's like, but they have different tastes in names. Some of the names are Hayden, Indigo, Darcy, Bryn, and Kaya. These are all names my sister would insult or claim are setting kids up for failure. She named her own kids Elizabeth, Josephine, and William, and my sister mostly expects others to give their kids names in a similar style. My sister also hates my son's name Sonny, and it was last month when she was meeting him for the first time, he was a few weeks old, that she started complaining about his name, and I shut her down. Then she told me how awful it was that I let her find out his name via Instagram. She said she never expected to find out the name of her only nephew that way, and I told her that I didn't want to hear her criticisms of the name. She then whined that nobody near her ever tells her their baby names. Her best friend not telling her directly hurts her the most. She has 2 kids, and my sister found out both their names on Facebook. She said, I don't get it. Nobody seems to care about my feelings, etc. I told my sister that people might tell her more things if she wasn't so judgmental. I told her I would have told her if I hadn't known she'd despise my son's name and judge my husband and me for picking it. My sister got defensive and said people are naming their kids such dumb things together. I told her she might think they're dumb, but not everyone will, and she hurts people's feelings by being so harsh. She told me I was judging her and being cruel and expected me to apologize for what I said. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, you weren't being cruel. She simultaneously thinks she has the right to be personally informed of baby names and then give her criticism unopposed. She's living in a fantasy land, and hopefully you've made her see how unrealistic her expectations were. No one likes you and wants to hear your opinion, sis. She needs a reality check. Things might change if she posted a public apology on social media and promised not to criticize other people's baby names. But she earned her reputation as an insulting busybody and can't be mad at her sister for telling her about it. I had a friend, past tense, who would say things like this because she would say, just being honest, as if it was some free pass to say what everyone else was thinking. People like them are the worst. I'll go out on a limb here and guess she has trouble keeping friends. Your sister should learn to keep her unwanted opinions to herself. My wife of 5 years got into a car accident on Sunday. She had to stay overnight in the hospital due to a severe concussion and looked a bit rough due to a mix of burns and bruises. However, she's feeling a bit better now and thankfully none of the injuries were life-threatening. 2 hours ago, my wife gave me the go-ahead and I called my stepdaughter Teen and told her. I know I should have done it earlier, but I was busy talking to doctors and insurance and a lot of things these last 2 days, and we wanted to wait until my wife was out of hospital since my stepdaughter has been terrified of hospitals ever since her grandmother died of cancer 3 years ago. I called and she started crying, but she calmed down after her mom talked to her for a bit. Her father, on the other hand, was angry at us and said that I either should have called him instead and let him tell her, or that I should have called on the day of if it was that serious. I think that doesn't make sense and is weird, but when I talked to my parents, they agreed that I should have told her dad instead so that he could explain it to their daughter. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. If your wife said to call the daughter, you call the daughter. This wasn't your information to share, and it sounds like maybe your wife didn't want it being shared until a certain point anyway. People tend to forget that this is private medical information, and you, or in this case she, are not obligated to share that with anyone. I disagree. She has a severe concussion and is not at her best to make decisions. It should have been adult to adult on the day of the accident. The dad could then decide what information needed to be shared. Unfortunately, OP is the idiot, but mostly because he didn't know better. Sounds like he doesn't have kids. Scary news, a parent's health or safety always fits this category, is better delivered, 1, by the other parent if possible, and 2, in person if possible. This was a scary bombshell to drop on a young teen and not be present to comfort or reassure her. You are the idiot. You should have called her ex-husband because they are co-parenting. He should have been told immediately so he could help the daughter understand what was going on and help her process the event as he felt appropriate. Now she's likely going to fear that something serious will happen to her mom and she won't find out until her mom dies or until it's too late for her to be helpful or provide support. You seriously couldn't find a spare 5 minutes to call him? She's not just important to you, she's got other folks who care about her and are important to her life story. I'm a 23-year-old woman. I recently started living by myself and I decided to host a housewarming dinner and get-together. The invite list was fairly small, 5 family members and 3 friends. My apartment is quite small, so that was enough to be cramped, LOL. I called everybody beforehand to ensure whatever I was cooking would adhere to dietary restrictions and allergies, etc. A few people asked if they could bring other foods, wine, drinks, etc., and I said sure. It happened last night and I'd basically cooked a scaled-down Thanksgiving meal. Smallish turkey, chicken, potatoes, mac and cheese and salad. I also expected other people to bring stuff. Almost everyone did, and it turned into a potluck situation. My brother, 19, came a bit late, which isn't unusual, but he had a woman whom he introduced as his girlfriend in tow. I didn't really have a problem with it. I thought it would have been nice for him to tell me she was coming, but from the way he explained it, it was a last-minute decision. We're all standing around my tiny table praying, and when we're done, it's time for food. My brother's girlfriend asked what was vegan at the table and said she'd been eyeing a few things. I said I hadn't cooked anything vegan, but one of my vegetarian friends had. It was some kind of stuffed peppers thing. I wasn't expecting to have a vegan, so I wasn't prepared, but his girlfriend seemed really upset. My brother pulled me aside about an hour later and said it really wasn't good hosting to only have one dish for her to eat. To be fair, she did look left out just eating stuffed peppers and I did feel bad, but when my brother suggested I order her some food to make up for it, I said no. Vegan food is quite expensive where I live and I'd already gone over my budget for the month with my dinner. I told him he was welcome to order it, but I couldn't afford another $25 or $30 on one meal for her. There was no big scene or anything. He stayed until the end of the night and she stayed too. I told her she was welcome to raid the fridge because I was sure I had some food suited to her, but she didn't take me up on that offer. This morning, however, he called and said that I should have at least ordered for her, considering I only had one dish she could eat, and that it was insulting to her to be told she could go through the fridge like some rat or something. Now I'm conflicted. Last night I didn't feel that bad for not ordering, but today I do based on what he said and how she felt. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You don't crash a party and then get mad because nothing is to your liking. That's not how this works. If he had given you notice, you could have prepared a few dishes, but for her to be a literal stranger and get mad because you didn't cook food to her tastes is ridiculous on her part and your brother's. I'm willing to bet the girlfriend didn't know she was unannounced, and all of her irritation was aimed at the brother. who then directed it onto his sister to try and save face himself. He forgot to let his sister know that A, his girlfriend was coming, and B, she was vegan, which became very obvious to his girlfriend when they showed up. OP's brother is the idiot. He created the situation by bringing a guest unannounced with atypical food preferences. Is there some sort of expectation to cook a vegan dish just in case a vegan turns up? Yeesh. OP, you can only cook food for people you know exist. Your brother is entitled and rude. Why didn't he order her food? Or, bring anything like almost everyone else. Update. So this morning I woke up to a message from my brother's girlfriend. As many of you suggested, she wasn't aware that she wasn't formally invited. My brother had forgotten to ask and simply assumed she'd be welcome, which she was, of course. She apologized for seeming down and asked if she'd ruined the dinner, which I assured her she hadn't. She explained that she was expecting more from what my brother said and was just a little disappointed. There are no hard feelings surrounding it. As I said before, she was a very sweet girl. She was just in an uncomfortable situation in an unfamiliar place with people she was meeting for the first time. Thank you for all of the kind words. I was planning to act on some of it, but my brother and his girlfriend beat me to it with their explanations and apologies.